Okay. Um, Hello and welcome. And I actually don't know why I'm wearing my headphones because we're not listening to anything today. We're reading. We're reading specifically Reddit submissions. Yay! Some would say it's the best form of content, and I'm not one of those people, but some would say, and that's okay, and that's good. So probably from the title you guessed, we're reading AITH submissions. No, AITA. I'm sorry. So yeah, we're just gonna start. I compiled 4 stories. They're all relatively long except for the last one. So I'm not gonna give my opinion until the end, and I want to see if we have the same opinions. So you can comment that if you feel like. And I'm also going to be blocking out the users' names, so yeah, cause I don't know. So yeah, I will put up each story on screen so you guys can read along with me. So the first one, AITA for calling my husband insane for missing my dad's funeral just because he didn't want me to wear high heels. Now, already, I feel like okay, okay, my bad. I'm not giving my opinion. Not saying it yet. Not to the end. So here's a user's story. My dad passed away 2 weeks ago. Before the funeral, my husband, who has always had issues with his height, he's short, asked if I was going to wear high heels. I said yes because those high heels are the only pair of shoes that go with the black color to fit my outfit. That's fair. You may think that, like, oh, it's black, it'll go with everything. No. There's many shades of black, and it's difficult to get them to match sometimes. So, I feel her. He tried to get me to wear other shoes, but I refused and gave him the explanation above. He ranted about how worried he was about people seeing him with me and me looking taller. Basically the same old rant. I used to suck it up before, but this time I said no. He said he wouldn't attend the funeral then. I was shocked. I called him insane to miss the funeral over such a reason, but he seemed upset and said I was the insane one for refusing to compromise to make it work. We had a huge fight and he ended up not going. We're not talking to each other as of now, and his family thinks I was stubborn and should have compromised if I really wanted him there. That that's He definitely is the insane one. I know I said I wasn't gonna give my opinion, but, like, get over it. You're short. You can wear heels too if you wanted. Even the playing field. Okay. Next one. AITA for wanting to be paid for babysitting my own daughter. So he's 39 and his wife is 34. My wife and I live in a suburban house with our daughter, who's 10. Our neighbor next door, who's 48, is a single father with two daughters, 14 and 12. We've been living there for a little more than 2 years. My wife really likes watching scary movies, but I have never enjoyed them. I get too scared and end up having a bad time, so I prefer to avoid them. Her friends sometimes go with her to the more popular ones, but she also likes older indies and foreign horror films, or horror movies. She always has a hard time finding people that have this niche interest, and that's why it's such a big deal when we met Walter and found out he also shares this tendency. They very quickly started to make plans and watch movies together. I was invited to be a part of this, but refused. Okay, I found it. So we left off. I was invited to be a part of this, but refused. I prefer to just stay home, babysitting Emily and Walter's daughter while they are in their cinephile reunions. Sometimes they go to movie theaters, but other times they just stay at Walter's place watching stuff at his home cinema. They usually have to go to another town in order to catch a specific function of some weird movie. Rude. So it is normal for them to come back very late. They eventually started doing stuff outside of watching movies, like going out for dinner. Walter invited all of us, including the kids, to go with him to a restaurant that a friend of him owned, but I said no because it was too expensive. I don't like that kind of place because I feel they're a waste of money, and I didn't think the kids would enjoy it either. You couldn't possibly know. And Walter's kids are 2/3 of the kids that you're babysitting. So that probably means that Walter brings his kids there anyway. Okay. I insisted on staying with the kids and let the two of them go be themselves. This has become a regular thing, and it is in a way a good deal for me because Walter pays for my wife's dinner and she can no longer complain about me not taking her to fancy restaurants. But she can, because you're not the one taking her. It's Walter. As both their movie and dinner nights had become so common, I had grown a little tired of the burden of constantly babysitting the girls. I talked to my wife and Walter about it, and he explained that he usually does not like leaving his daughters with babysitters. He says he's really comfortable knowing they are being watched by an experienced father like me instead of some teenage girl. Walter. He nevertheless agreed that it was too much of a load for me and offered to start paying me a standard babysitter fee each time he goes out with my wife. I thought this was a fair approach to the issue, but my wife was fully against it. She says I should not be paid for babysitting my own daughter, nor the daughters of a close friend of our family like Walter. We have been arguing about this, but she insists on the notion and is not open to change. She even gets mad every time I talk to her about this. Walter promised me that he will convince her, but he does not seem to have been able to do so either. Am I the jerk? Definitely. I think you definitely are. I think you don't know that the kids wouldn't want to go to dinner, and one of the kids is your own kid, so you should just watch her. How is it too much work for you to stay home and just let kids run around? Like, how old were they? 10, 14, and 12. Those kids are basically just watching themselves. They play board games or on their phones or take naps. It's not that hard. Anyway, on to the third one. Okay. AITA for telling my boyfriend's roommate he can't come on our mini vacation. TLDR, I planned a weekend trip for me and my boyfriend to go to Chicago. He told his roommate and he wanted to go. He asked, I said no, now I'm a jerk. Backstory, my boyfriend and I are 27 and I've been dating for 3 years. I'm in grad school and graduate in May. To celebrate, I've planned a week trip to Chicago for us. It'll be a fun weekend since we've been doing long distance for 2/3 of our relationship. My boyfriend has a roommate who, for the most part, is whatever, but he's stuck. He works as an assistant manager at a grocery store in a very small town and has no bigger ambitions. He's very content with where he's at and has no desire to change anything in his life. Content is in quotes because he's not happy and he wants to change things about himself, but he's not motivated to do so. Okay, I can kind of understand that, but like, I'm assuming that the roommate is also 27. So anyway, so that's the backstory. Here's the actual story. My boyfriend and I were discussing some things we wanted to do, and his roommate overheard and asked what we were talking about, so we told him. After a few days after I left, he asked my boyfriend if he could come, and my boyfriend said it was my trip. Since I was doing most of the planning, he'd have to ask me, but I'd probably say no. Fair enough. He also mentioned that if he did come, we'd need to find someone to watch the dogs. He messaged me and asked, and I said no because this is a weekend for us to spend some quality time together. Direct quote hinting that we wanted alone time. He told me I was being a jerk, a terrible, terrible jerk, and that he wasn't going to watch our dogs while we were gone. I said, fine, but don't expect us to watch yours when you go to Canada next month. He then backpedaled, and eventually I said he could come with as long as he met the following conditions. He'd have to chip in for gas, he'd help pay for a pet sitter, he'd have to get his own room which he could split with someone, and I offered to pay for the room up front, but him paying me back for the cost of the room was non-negotiable. He could not tag along on the night my boyfriend was planning. He then told me that I was way too high maintenance and that he liked my boyfriend's ex way better since she'd never have a problem with him coming and would never make him do any of that. Rude. He did try to get my boyfriend involved, and I showed him our messages, which he was not happy about, but I told him this was our problem that we can sort out. He has not said anything about the trip to my boyfriend yet. So am I being unreasonable with my requests? Am I actually being a jerk? To be honest, I thought splitting costs was standard when you go on vacation with your friends, especially since we didn't invite him. But am I wrong? Definitely not. I think that's normal. If you go somewhere with your friends, if you weren't invited, even if you are invited, I think the decent thing to do is like pay your own way. They're not your parents. It's not they don't have to pay for you. So definitely not. I don't think she's the jerk in that instance. And last one, I just like this one. I thought it was kind of funny. So, 2 days ago, AITA for buying a cake for no special occasion. 2 days ago, I saw a small cake at Walmart. It was only $6 and a flavor my family liked, so I decided to buy it. I got home and my wife protested, saying, "You can't buy a cake unless it's for a birthday." Not true. Surely not true. She demanded I return it for a refund. However, the seal was already torn off, so the store would not be able to resell it. An argument struck up, and out of spite, let my children and myself eat the cake by ourselves, not leaving a crumb for my wife. She has not talked to me since and refuses to even sleep in the same bed over a cake. So AITA. Definitely not. That's her bad, you know. I mean, unless it's like there's a condition, like she actually is not allowed to have cake a lot of the time, like so she can only have it on birthdays, and then you just forgot about that and was like, no, getting this cake anyway. But like if there's nothing like medically that she's not allowed to have cake, I guess I think it's fine. You know, enjoy your cake and your kids' cake, and your kids enjoy that cake. Yeah, I think I got one from a different subreddit called r/confession, and it's a really short one, so I figured I'd just put it here at the end of the video. It's called, "I stole $2,000 from the internet and did money laundering." 'Cause that you really sound like you know what you're talking about. And then the only caption is, "I scammed victims and stole $2,000 from romance scams and laundered money through the internet. Sorry, FBI." No. I don't believe him. If it is true, he's just like, or she, I guess, they're just the dumbest person on the planet for admitting to it. But I don't think they did. I think anyone who actually partakes in money laundering and scamming is not upfront and honest about it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna call it there. I think this was fun. Yeah. If you've been on Reddit ever, if you've ever been on TikTok, you've seen these kind of posts before. So if you guys have actually seen any or heard of any that you would like me to read for any reason at all, then I think I would be happy to. Anyway, goodbye.